Good evening and welcome to another episode of Denovan's Facebook Live. Tonight we've got the privilege of being joined by Brad from Graphic Building Company. Brad has over 10 years experience in the building and construction industry and is here tonight to give us a few tips on all things building and renovating. So I appreciate your company tonight, Brad.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
That's all right. So look, we've got a few questions for Brad this evening that we'll go through, which will no doubt give you a bit of an insight to to building and renovating and that sort of thing. We may as well kick off with probably a question that Brad's very well suited to answer. Mate, can you give us some tips on picking the best builder?
Yeah. Well, I think for me personally, it probably comes down to how comfortable you feel with the people that you want to deal with. Important things obviously that they do the work that's relevant to what you want doing. So, if you're doing a renovation, you want to pick a builder that has done renovations before, and that's sort of their line of work.
Yeah.
There's a few important things to check. Just check their license, which you can do through the QBCC.
Yeah.
We always pride ourselves on recommendations from other people as well. That's probably a big tick towards selecting the right builder. Yep. Knowing that someone's had a good experience with them is often a good lead into them having a good experience with you.
For sure.
And yeah, just picking. I think it's very important to pick someone that you're comfortable being honest and open with. Particularly with renovations, there'll be a lot of curveballs and little problems that will come up along the way. So I think it's important to have someone that you feel like you can talk to and be comfortable with and raise all those little things and get it all sorted out as you're going along. But
sure,
a lot of it will come down to just personal experience and those sorts of things, I think, and in how people even just present themselves and their company and what they're doing and how they'll make it all work to suit you guys.
Definitely, yep. Yeah. So perhaps looking at previous testimonials, previous case studies, all that sort of thing.
Yeah, definitely. Like if you're in a Queenslander and you want to raise it and build in underneath, well, obviously there's a few little nuances with that. So you'd probably pick someone that's got some sort of history with doing that already, and you can see the results and the photos and even a client testimonial with a project similar to that. You'll know that they've been able to do the project to a good standard, and two, that the experience has been good for them, and that's a really good place to start. And then obviously price is an important one, and knowing that you're getting a fair a fair quote or a fair letter of offer, so to speak, so that everything you want done will be included and all in one go.
Terrific.
Well, yeah.
Okay. Mate, you've answered that very diplomatically. I thought you might have said pick a company that starts with G and ends in Graphic Building Company.
We could definitely have done something like that.
No, there's definitely some value there. You've done well. So, and I guess once you do select your builder, so you've gone, look, Brad seems like a nice guy. He knows what he's doing. Mm-hmm. We want to go with you guys. Is there any safeguard or warranty, anything there that might protect me as the client should something go wrong with that project?
Yeah, definitely. So that's actually done on a project by project basis. So it's called the home warranty insurance. Yeah. So it's regulated by the industry, by the government. So it's a separate fee that's incorporated into the build cost. So on any project that's over $3,300, you have to pay that. So so one, you've got to have a contract in place, and two, you need to pay the BSA or the QBCC home warranty insurance. So it varies in how much that is for what size the project is. So it starts at $3,300. I think it's about $240 for that, and that's an insurance so that if for any reason that the contract gets terminated, the QBCC will issue another builder to come in and finish off, or even if something of a really personal nature happened to that particular builder or along those lines, and even in worst case, if they went insolvent or went bankrupt, that insurance is there completely separate to the builder, so that then another person that's suitably qualified can come in and finish it all off.
Can come in, yeah. So worst case, you're fairly well protected for anything over 3.3 anyway. So that'd be a lot of jobs, I'd imagine, anyway. So
yeah, exactly. So for pretty well anything of a serious nature or a larger renovation is going to be well and truly over that. So yeah, you can expect to pay between a couple $100 or probably up to around the $5,000 or $6,000 mark for a really big renovation or a new build, but that obviously covers you for any of those instances that might come up, and definitely mitigates your risk for anything that might happen
throughout the project. For sure. And can you run us through, so for those of us that might be wondering what can and can't a builder do? You know, what sort of scope of works? You know, for instance, you guys, what sort of scope of works could you guys cover?
Yep. So a good way to look at a builder is pretty much, we get called a principal contractor a lot. So we're in control of all the other subcontractors and trades that would come through that are required for your project. So a good example, if we use a bathroom. So bathroom, you're going to need a builder, you're going to need a plumber, an electrician, tiler.
Yep.
So a builder can look after all those things. Electrical, plumbing, waterproofing, it pretty much comes down to the individual licenses, but they're probably the big three that a builder can't do. So we need to get in our recommended contractors for those different items. So a really good way to break it down is when you apply for a building approval, there'll be different certificates that you'll need to get your final certificate, and a lot of those will come down to the individual trades that a builder's not allowed to do. So electrical, plumbing, glazing's another good one. A builder could probably do that, but it's one of those things that often gets subcontracted out these days because you need a certificate of completion once everything's all installed.
Once it's been done.
Yeah.
Okay. And I guess, but you guys could still project manage the works. You know, you get your subcontractors in and that sort of thing.
Yeah, exactly. So that's the difference between a builder and a carpenter. So a builder would generally start out as being a carpenter and have the trade background behind how to actually construct something.
Yeah.
But then they don't necessarily have the knowledge or the experience to oversee those other trades that are then involved in a build, and so that's when a builder then earns their right to do that, so to speak. So there's a lot of study and knowledge involved in terms of getting to that process, in understanding the different legislation that would oversee those other trades. So while we're not necessarily a plumber, we still need to know and have a good understanding of the National Construction Code for plumbing, and to ensure that our subcontractors are doing the right
thing. Sort of thing.
Yeah, exactly. And then as a builder, we would oversee that. So as a carpenter, you're not allowed to oversee any other trades. So that's the overall breakdown of the difference between a builder and a carpenter, and what a builder can and can't do.
Yeah. I think that explains it pretty well. So, I guess, you know, another question that some people may have is, you know, when do I need approval from, you know, a private certifier, and when does council get involved, that sort of thing?
Yep. You'll generally need a building approval for anything that's external. So any sort of carport, extension, renovation, even sheds above 10 square metres, you'll need a BA for.
Okay.
All the BAs, the building approvals, they used to be issued by council, but now they're issued by private certifiers. So there may be a little bit of confusion there with people, but generally now all building approvals are through a private certifier. Yep. So council will only ever really be involved when you need a DA. So the safest way to do it is on a project by project basis, but normally you would send, if you're hoping to have an extension done or something, you'd send that through, get the plans drawn up, and you'd send that through to a certifier, and then they'll let you know what it'll need. It'll depend on where your property is situated, any of the overlays, the zonings, and things like that, as to whether it'll trigger a DA. But the certifier would generally be able to point you in the right direction to see whether it would need a DA or not. And it'd only ever really be at that DA stage that then council would be involved in a standard project. Otherwise, it'll just be the straight building approval that would be needed. Which would be through a private certifier.
So you'd always be sort of starting there anyway, more or less, and just getting some advice from a private certifier, perhaps. And,
exactly.
And then, depending on, if you've got an overland flow or something else that might impact that project, council might need to issue a DA, depending on the circumstances.
Yep, exactly. Largely depending on the circumstances, and there's standard codes that you sort of have to try and stick between, and as long as you can try and stick between those, then you're generally okay to not require any sort of DA or those sorts of things for standard or even small lot homes. So there's a small lot code for residential building, and as long as you stick within those guidelines, you generally won't ever require a DA.
You're pretty right.
For a standard house lot. Yeah,
terrific. Excellent. Okay, and the next question we have here, so building versus renovating. So I know this is probably a massive can of worms, but have you got any, we'll keep it relatively simple, have you got any tips as to why someone, pros and cons of both, and then perhaps we could look at why someone might choose to build instead of renovate, so demolish the home altogether and start again. And can you give us some, maybe some guidance on that?
It's definitely on a case-by-case basis. So if you're in a really nice area and you've got a beautiful Queenslander, say, sometimes there'll be restrictions on whether you can even remove the house, so that'll mean that you're in a demolition control precinct. So at that point then you have to be pushed down the renovation path.
Yes, yeah.
If you're in, you might have bought a post-war home, it'll largely depend on the size of the home and even just the quality of what the home currently is, and largely what you want to achieve. So definitely on a case-by-case basis. If you had a very large, beautiful Queenslander that was in pretty good condition, that was post-war, you'd probably look at renovating just because it's going to be largely cost-effective, and you could maybe raise it and build in underneath, and you'd get away with it with sort of just a major renovation. Whereas if, it's sort of dilapidated and very run down, it hasn't been looked after, and it's going to cost a lot of money to fix it all up and get it back to a nice state, well then you're probably on the line where it could be a good option to even look getting the house removed, or straight demo. So yeah, it largely on a case-by-case basis.
Depending on condition and all those sorts of things.
Exactly.
And zoning, I suppose, will
zoning
into it a bit.
Yep, definitely.
Particularly with those Queenslanders and that sort of thing.
Yeah, definitely. And even to an extent on how much you actually want to do within the existing building envelope. So if you're happy to retain the current floor plan upstairs with maybe some minor renos, then you could probably look at a renovation. Whereas if you wanted to completely gut it and start again and move a kitchen, to the other side of the house, well, all those considerations have come into play to see whether it was worth renovating or go straight for a new build.
Yeah, okay. I think that pretty well sums that up. And I suppose market thresholds, it would be another one as well. How much play you've got there, and what the maximum achievable for each of those two options may be as well.
Exactly.
Would probably be another consideration for people. So.
Definitely.
Okay, and look, if say we went down the building line, just roughly speaking, how long do you think it would?
A bit longer, because you've got the added demo and all those sort of tie-in sort of phases.
To play around with.
Yeah, exactly.
Some hurdles.
Yeah, but you can do a fair bit of work in that probably 4-ish months. Your larger homes, like your larger architecturals, your sky's the limit, I guess. You could be looking up to a year for a new build, even around that year mark for a massive renovation. We've been on projects before for 18 months. So
depending on how grand they are and to what scale sort of thing.
Exactly. So largely depending on scale, but your average sort of small extension or build under would be probably around that 4-month mark.
Yeah, okay, you get most things done in that time frame.
Yeah, it gives you between that 12 to 16 weeks is generally what I'd probably push people towards, and you can definitely get most of those items ticked off within 16 weeks.
Yeah, terrific. Okay, and just some rough guidelines on how much that may cost. 4-bed 2-bath. I know it's again a can of worms depending on finishes and that type of thing. Have you got any sort of maybe per square meterage rates or anything like that as a rough approximation?
Yeah, definitely. Exactly like you said, sky's the limit. You'd probably start at around the probably $1,000 a square metre mark as a very rough guideline.
Yep.
Keeping in mind though that if you were putting a kitchen and a bathroom in 50 square metres, well, it's not quite going to work out because you've got two fairly expensive items within a fairly small area. But yeah, generally if you worked around the 1,000 up to probably about the $1,800 a square metre mark for a pretty nice architectural renovation, so to speak, that'd be a pretty safe bet.
Yep.
It's definitely not hard to spend over that if you were trying to.
Yeah, designer kitchens and all that sort of thing.
Exactly. Yep, exactly, and even just in terms of your floor finishings and all those sorts of things will come into play, and they do creep up fairly quickly.
Yeah.
You might think it's just travertine or something like that, but it'd definitely creep up on you a little bit quicker than what you thought, I think. But yeah, I probably try and steer clients to around that $1,500 mark, and then if it's a little bit more, well, we can trim it back if need be. But for $1,500, you'll get a very nice, very well finished, generally achievable things that you're after for around that sort of mark.
Okay. Yeah. And that's when you say per square meterage, that's internal and external square meterage?
No, so that would normally just be internal. Say for instance, if you were doing like a porte cochere or a cabana or something out on your pool, it wouldn't be that high because you don't have any of the external walls or the cladding, and they're generally a simpler structure. So it'd probably be down a little bit lower than that. But
sort of based on your internal square meterage then.
Yeah, and then maybe you could say to halve that or something for external decks or open areas or entertainment areas, things like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, they just get simplified a little bit because there's not as much work involved.
Terrific. No, I think that gives people a really good guide anyway. So, and I guess one question particularly being, in the area that we are at the moment in Mitchelton, for a typical post-war, which there are, obviously there's a few of them around here. Where do you see, some of your clients getting best bang for buck, if you like, for want of a better saying, when they're renovating to sell or to add value?
Post-wars, generally speaking, they're a really, really good item to renovate. They're often, high set on stumps, so they can often be achieved by building in underneath. Often that was unusable space. It was just normally always dirt, maybe a little temporary laundry slab or something like that.
Yeah.
So obviously you've got that height and you can relatively easily build in underneath, maximise your floor space. But if you were keeping it at a single level, your big ones are always your bathrooms and kitchens. Everyone loves having a nice new bathroom. They're really good ways to spend your money. Outdoor areas in southeast Queensland is also a really big one, putting in a nice big outdoor deck or things like that.
Popular coming to summer too, isn't it? So.
Yes, it is. And we've got the climate for it, so everyone loves being outside, and it's a really good way of creating a pretty cost efficient, extension or renovation to something. And we can spend a lot of time outside now. Like a lot of the time you'll have external barbecues and things like that. So, you could put in your standard house may only be sort of 100 square metres, and you could put on a 50 square metre deck and you've nearly doubled your livable space, but it's
like adding a whole room to your to your house essentially, isn't it? In terms of usable space anyway.
In terms of usable space, exactly, but it's not necessarily somewhere that you've got to lock it all up and all those sorts of things, so it can be quite cost effective.
Okay, that's terrific. And look, question that basically wraps up most of the questions we've had tonight, but for anyone that might be wondering, do you do sort of free quotes on on renovations and new builds, that sort of thing?
Yeah, definitely. So it's all there's no obligation or anything to sign up with us. More than happy to come around and share our advice and a few little ideas and do free quotes and all that sort of thing. So it comes with our territory, and more than happy to.
Okay, terrific. And all sort of shapes and sizes, the jobs, small and big jobs, all that sort of thing?
Yeah, definitely. So we're a smaller company, so our market is mainly in the renovation sort of market. But anything that may come across us, we're more than happy to have a look at. And obviously if it's been recommended from our previous clients or anything, we would largely look after them and try and keep that reputation going. So
terrific. Excellent. And for anyone that does want to contact you, Brad, they're best to look on your website. How anyone best contact you if they're looking to get in touch?
Website is always a good one. We're on Instagram, all those sorts of things. So the number on our website will come directly to me, so you'll be able to speak to me and we can work from there. But website and Instagram is probably the two that we target the most. We don't have a Facebook page or anything as yet, but we just try and stick with the client recommendations, and our Instagram profile is always updated, so all our details are on there and also on our website. So
terrific. So that's just graphicbuildingcompany.com.au, is it?
Graphic BC.
Graphic BC.
Okay. But if you type in Graphic Building Company on Google, it'll come up.
It'll pop up as well.
And then our Instagram's just graphic_BC. So nice and simple.
Terrific, mate. Well, look, we really appreciate your time tonight.
Thank you for having me.
All the insights you've provided. So I'm sure a lot of people watching there tonight have got some really good value out of that. And look, for anyone that does want to check out a little bit of Brad's handiwork, just next to our office there at Irvine Street, Mitchelton, he did actually put on the back deck, and I think last time I checked earlier this afternoon, it was still standing as well. So he's
not so.
hasn't been all that long. So. But no, for anyone who wants to check it out, anyway, it's Iron Cafe and Bar just next to our office, and just at the back there. He did a great job. It was certainly a pleasure dealing with him as well. So again, we appreciate your time, mate.
Thank you.
And
anytime.
Thanks for coming in. And look, again, to everyone who's tuned in tonight, appreciate that, and we'll look forward to catching up with you next week.